Hello, welcome. This is the fourth time recording this. It's difficult to talk about without going, one, off on a tangent, second, saying something which I think will probably get the video demonetized, and it's probably going to get demonetized anyway because of the topic that we're actually covering, which is a shame because I should probably just go all out, in fairness, but then it won't reach enough people. So obviously, look, what we're talking about today is J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot has gone on a massive virtue signaling spree, and all the other times that I've recorded this, I've actually read out the like dictionary terminology for all of this, just trying to get to the nitty-gritty of the actual terminology, because I want to try to understand the point of this. Because when you look at it, right, when you look at what historically it's been, you know, like he's saying we need to dismantle white supremacy at work, right? Now, white supremacy comes in all many forms, right? You know, it comes in forms against Jewish people. Well, J.J. Abrams of Bad Robot, in Hollywood, one of the most powerful people in Hollywood, most well paid anyway, signing mega deals, Hollywood, run by Jewish people, that doesn't really stand up, does it? And I don't have a problem. Like, I literally couldn't care less who runs Hollywood, just so as long as I get some good media, I couldn't give a shit. But I'm not the one virtue signaling. So that's why, like, that starts to fall apart. And then the other stuff is to do with, like, pseudoscience of believing, like, races are more superior and things like this. And that's all nonsense anyway. Widely disproven, and I don't think many people believe it anymore anyway, and you probably shouldn't anyway. Saying anyway a lot. And then you get to the nitty-gritty of what they're really talking about, again, when we look at the definitive terms of it, which is white privilege, which in and unto itself is actually a racist term. To blanket a statement and a prejudice against an entire ethnicity, based on that ethnicity, is racism. There's no two ways about it. To claim that someone is privileged because of the colour of their skin is just a joke. Especially in the UK, you know, tell that to like the 17,000 per year white British girls targeted, groomed, raped because they're underage, just because they're white British. I mean, that's not privileged, is it, really? Let's be honest. Well, they have the privilege of being, you know, abused and raped. No, I don't think so. And this is what I mean. This whole argument starts to fall apart. I always love that term, you know, don't throw stones when you live in glass houses. You know, you've got all these people in the UK anyway talking about stop and search. Don't stop and search us. Stop carrying knives then, you pleb. Like, I mean, what are we going to do, you know? Like, stop it. It's just, stop it. This is not helping society at all, in fact. It's pushing the relations and cultural cohesion back fucking so far. And maybe that's what they want, I don't know. But anyway, virtue signal pleb here is at it again. Now, I want to get into this, and obviously it's linked down below, and the video is probably demonetized, so that's lame, because this is my third video today, which means I can't really do any more. But I will be. I've got one more waiting for you. I've got one more. But before we do, guys, I am making a film. It's called Black Fields. I know I'm culturally appropriating the term black. Sorry, ladies and gents. But it's linked down. It's a joke. Calm down. Fuck me. It's linked down below in the description box. It's a GoFundMe because I believe the future is crowdfunding. I think that's the future of film. Clearly, this idiot's not going to... He's not going to be making any toxically masculine films for any period of time, is he? Let's be honest. So give your money to me, and I'll make it. If I've saved you any money on the theatre over the years, then hey, send it my way. Just price of a coffee. For $5, you're actually entered into a competition for a badass ornamental prop weapon. And I also, right behind me there, is an exclusive 1-of-1 hoodie, which I actually had made up for the cast. But I may have one spare, so I may be giving one of them away as well. But anyway, more on that later. So let's dive into this, ladies and gents. Right, let's get to the nitty-gritty of it, okay? So J.J. Abrams, Bad Robot, the film production company behind Alias, Lost, Star Trek, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, and a number of Mission Impossible films, recently shared an employee guide titled Bad Robot's Guide to Dismantling White Supremacy at Work. Now, the company, who also recently signed a huge contract with Warner Media and is reportedly working on Justice League Dark series for HBO Max, shared a link to the guide on Twitter, writing, "At Bad Robot, we are committed to dismantling white supremacy at work and at large. We are following leading academics, activists, and artists, and have compiled an evolving set of resources that we are sharing with friends and colleagues onward." I hate this. Like, I really hate this, because it implies that the majority of society is like run by white supremacists. It's simply not true. Like we live in an astonishing time of peace, and yet no one's happy. Why is that? Is it because we're all at peace? Is it because we don't know true strife? And you say that and you'll probably go, what are you talking about? Well, I mean, you're not marching on the beaches of Normandy, are you? You're not going to war. You know, we are in the longest period of peace, you know, of peacetime in known history, I believe, anyway. Or one of the longest. So why are we suddenly got all this time? I mean, is it just because we've got time to complain and bitch? Like, what is it? You know, what's going on? The majority are not white supremacists. It's such a disingenuous statement as well. Like, if you do a cross section of all your friends, and not even all your friends, but you just stand on a street and just talk to 100 people, you probably won't even get one person that believes in this crap. Like, you're just not. It's such a small fringe of society, but we're acting like it's the majority for some reason, and I don't understand it. Why do we want to make our society look shitter? Why can't someone just stand up and say, no, we live in a really tolerant society? Like, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing? It's super bizarre. But anyway, the title page provides further details on the goals of the guide. It reads, at Bad Robot, we are committed as storytellers and executives to dismantling white supremacy at work and at large. With this ever-evolving and far from complete guide, we hope to share some resources to explore and navigate this time for ourselves and with each other as we strive to do the delicate, raw, humbling and enraging work of anti-racism. What? From there, the 10 pages provide a comprehensive list of anti-racist resources that includes people to follow, films to watch, books to read, and other sources of information. But I mean, the irony of it is, you know, this is all about white privilege, and yet you're talking about anti-racism. If there is anything in here that actually states white privilege, then you know that they've gone way too far, and they're just like sniffing their own farts right up their own arsehole. It is broken up into how much time you have. The first section is if you have 5 to 10 minutes. The next section, if you have 30, and the third is if you've got 60 minutes plus. They also include a list of individuals they recommend their employees follow on social media. I mean, they include New Gods director Ava DuVernay. Well, she's a racist, so no. Who recently threatened to discriminate against white men when hiring for films she was part of. Yeah, exactly. Another on the list includes Marvel Comics writer Ta-Nehisi Coates, who has stated white America is a syndicate arrayed to protect its exclusive power to dominate and control our bodies. Coates also described first responders to the terrorist attacks on 9/11. Hey, they were not human to me, black, white, or whatever. They were menaces of nature. They were fire, the comet, the storm, which could, with no justification, shatter my body. You're mental. Yeah, absolutely, you are mental. And then it goes further, you know, a bunch of like NBA stars, because apparently they're really important. Virtue signaling, again, out the fucking wazoo. And they also include their employees to follow a number of radical political organisations, including Black Lives Matter, which is a known Marxist movement. They advocate violence against police. They advocate the dismantling of capitalism. They, again, they want to take down normal family structure. Isn't it funny how, you know, the normal family unit has been on the decline for years and years and years, and yet people are now, what? Crime's on the up. People are less happy. Women are going older without having babies. Men are going their own way. You know, it's not a coincidence that all of these things have aligned with one another and the world's getting shitter, is it? Let's be honest. You know, and it's just trash. You know, they also advocate to disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. You come near, like, if I ever have a kid, you come near my kid, I'm going to slap you. Fuck off. And the whole defund and dismantle, like, well, how's that going for the autonomous zone, hey? A bunch of people got killed. And yet, what? Oh no. A bunch of people got called, please, please, please come and help us. Up the road at the weekend, tragic event happened. And it is literally just up the road from me. Reading, in the UK, we had a terrorist attack. Libyan refugee came up into a park, broad daylight, and just knifed a bunch of people. Awful. Fucking horrendous. Awful, horrendous. Someone claiming to be his brother said he was doing it because it was, and he was arrested because England's racist. No, you're arrested because you killed 3 people and you seriously, grievously wounded other people. Now, the reason that attack stopped was an incredibly brave policeman, white. Oh no. Did a rugby tackle to someone wielding an incredible blade, who was clearly off on something, murdering people. So it's about time people really, like, show them some goddamn fucking respect. Like, not every policeman deserves respect, but neither does everyone in any of their jobs that they do, right? You get arseholes everywhere. The world is populated by them. Unfortunately, you can't remove arseholes. So, you know, when we start to really, you know, we go, oh, defund the police. It's like, yeah, fine, sure, whatever. Who's going to protect you, J.J. Abrams, mate? Who's going to protect you and your house, your fucking golden carriage? It's just ridiculous. They also state that they want to dismantle cisgender privilege and uplift black trans folks, especially black trans women who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. Now, look, I am not, I'm not transphobic, couldn't care less, right? However, when you start to raise disproportionate statistics, right, that's when you need to analyse, well, what's the root cause of it? So in the UK, black people, we have this thing called stop and search. So in the UK, black people are disproportionately stopped and searched. And some would say it's racial profiling. What I would say it's because, unfortunately, we have a knife crime epidemic, which we do, look it up. And all you guys in the States going, well, you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to the UK, the USA, you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to the UK. So black people are disproportionately stopped and searched because they won't stop stabbing one another. They are doing it at a disproportionate rate. And no, it's not to say that white people don't. Of course not. They do. But you are still going to disproportionately target the community that is disproportionately represented in the crime. It's a no-brainer, mate. Why would you not? That's a good use of police resources. So when we say that black trans women are disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence, you actually have to look at why. Is it actually perpetrated by members of the black community? Is it because they are not revealing to the other member of the black community what they are? And it's not to say that they would have to, but if you don't, then unfortunately, you know, an argument would be had that you're leading someone along and you may be putting yourself at risk. So there's a lot of things when we start to throw around disproportionate statistics that you actually have to go, well, okay, I respect that there's a disproportionate statistic, but why is there? Why is there a disproportionate statistic? Because, I mean, my example of knife crime is a perfect one. And yet in the UK, they're complaining about stop and search. It's like, well, stop carrying knives then. I mean, it's simple, isn't it? You've got nothing to hide. Take 5 minutes. Just go, yeah, no, I'm fine, mate. Here you go. Do your thing. How you doing? You're right. I mean, just respectful. I get harassed driving a sports car, right? I've got a sports car. I drive it around. I get followed by the police. And if I get stopped, I just have a nice conversation with them. When I had my 350Z bright orange sports car, I got pulled over in handcuffs on the M25, claiming that I had stolen my own car. Did I kick off? No. I was just like, mate, you're going to look it up and you're going to realise that someone's playing buggers on you. Like, it's really not a big deal, dude. Like, it's fine. It's illegal for them to put me in handcuffs unless they feel that they're at risk or they feel like I have got something. But just show, like, normal, common decency, you know? You've got nothing to hide, nothing wrong. Just let them get on with their day. It's not a big deal. And yes, it is different in the States. You know, it is different. Like, I get it. Everyone has been on the impact or on the side of, at the receiving end of police, you know, being a bit of a nuisance. And in the States, they have the power to go a step further because they carry guns, right? And that's terrifying. I don't think anyone wants that, you know? But also still be respectful. Anyway, whatever. And yeah, Black Lives Matter have literally said that they're trained Marxists. I mean, the fact that they're talking about taking down capitalism, you lose me at that point. It's not about defunding the police, is it? It's not about police brutality. When you're trained Marxists saying we want to take down capitalism, what is it? What is it then? Is it you want to uplift the black community, or do you want to take down society? Which one? Like, you know, which one is it? So no, I actually don't support Black Lives Matter. I know, shock horror, but I don't subscribe to those political ideologies. I support the active trend against police brutality. I think everyone does in any sane mind, but I do not support taking down capitalism by any stretch of the imagination. I think that is fucking stupid. Anyway, so it continues, right? Here's apparently this is how you do it, right? So some of the books have even targeted towards their employees' kids. In fact, there is an entire section titled "If You Have Little Ones in Your Life." The result of hundreds of years of systemic racism and state-sanctioned violence against black people. They also proclaim the uprisings that have been happening and will continue to occur in response to these systemic injustices are part of long lineages of resistance. Okay then. So acknowledge history, basically. What's happening isn't just about recent eruption of police brutality. As a country, we are grappling with the result of hundreds of years of systemic racism and state-sanctioned violence against black people. The uprisings... So what's making them kill one another then? Like, homicides are disproportionate... Black homicides are disproportionately represented by black people. So what's causing that then? Like, I mean, I'm just asking a question. Tell me. Again, I could say it into the UK, right? Like, what's making people stab one another up? I wouldn't say it's bloody racism. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just my white privilege talking, even though it's racist. But you know what? Learn and say the names and pronouns of those that we're mourning. Well, look, I get called racist because I can't pronounce certain names. Do you not understand? Like, culture. Culture makes us not be able to pronounce certain names. Like, an English tongue can't do certain things in terms of names. That's how it works. So, again, it's one of those things that you hear and you go, well, this is total nonsense. You know, how does that make any goddamn sense? You can't hate on someone and call them racist because their cultural tongue it only works on certain names and certain pronunciations. It's just a fact. Now, you wouldn't bitch and complain that like a Chinese person or a Japanese person can't speak English properly, can you? Or use English names properly. It's just nonsense. Like, it's absolute nonsense. Give time off, no questions asked. While some people may turn to work as a coping mechanism, most people would probably benefit from more space. And that's why you might consider making time off the norm, something that your black staff members don't need to opt in to or request as an accommodation. So you're just going to give people time off. Look, that doesn't sound like equality to me, does it? That sounds like they're advocating for members of the BAME community being able to take time off work. For reasons? Like what? That's not equality at that point, is it? We've been striving so hard for equality. Now, this very clearly is not equality. Review your organisational calendar. Repurpose existing forums for discussion, reflection, or action. Perhaps your next virtual happy hour could be a phone bank to defund the police. Or an upcoming community panel can focus on connecting your organisation's key issues to the movement for Black Lives. At the very least, remove the optional just for fun events. No one wants to play trivia right now, Andy. Yes, they do. Actually, J.J. Abrams. Yeah, they do. People, by and large, are sick of all this crap. They just want to get back to normal. Note that the above are ideas for the short term. In the medium and long term, you'll need to offer spaces for education, reflection, and renewing commitments. It is just trash. Expand beyond DEAI workshops. Guess who's probably been to an implicit bias or diversity, equity, and inclusion training? Amy Cooper, Derek Chauvin, Tu Tao. We know that diversity training alone doesn't usually work to change behaviour. Racism in America is older than America itself, and a day-long seminar won't stop the weaponization of white womanhood. The complicity of Asian Americans in anti-blackness, or the disregard of black humanity. That's a whole lot of sweeping statements on multiple ethnicities. That's racist. Really is. Or the disregard of black humanity. No one's disregarding. Fucking hell. Training is one stop at the journey, but we need to do more. Find ways to create and foster habits of anti-racism. Now, a lot of these things which I've said, right? A lot of people will go, well, that's... Yeah, of course they are. Yeah, that's why we need to talk about it. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, but surely the fact that I'm sat here saying no, and a whole bunch of people are agreeing with me, going, no, that's just simply not the case. Does that not tell you something? Does it not tell you something? You know? That perhaps people aren't actually so racist as you think. What is white supremacy? The idea that white people and the ideas, thoughts, beliefs and actions of white people are superior to people of colour and their ideas, thoughts, beliefs and actions. While most people associate white supremacy with extremist groups like the Ku Klux Klan and Nazis, white supremacy is ever present. Institutional and cultural assumptions that assign value, morality, goodness and humanity to the white group while casting people and communities of colour as worthless, immoral, bad and inhuman and undeserving. Who does that? That's disgusting. That's so abhorrent. And I think what's even worse, right, is the fact that he's attributing this to most white people. That's disgraceful, man. Like, stop the self-loathing. Stop it. Really, stop it. What is white privilege? White privilege refers to the unquestioned and unearned set of advantages, entitlements, benefits and choices bestowed on people solely because they are white. Generally, white people who experience such privilege do so without being conscious of it. Well, I mean, look, 17,000 per year estimated, which actually means it's a lot higher. White girls are raped. Raped, groomed, underage. It's abhorrent. And that's only because they're white in the UK. Again, look it up. It's a fact. It's one of the biggest scandals, and actually one of the most, it's one of the most high-profile examples of institutional racism, actual sanctioned racism against white people in the UK. Now, if I was to say that, or I have just said it, people will go, what? But if I said, okay, well, give me an actual example of institutionalized, with evidence, racism against black people in the UK, you're going to really struggle. You're actually going to really struggle. Now, that one in particular is a scandal because it came from the Home Office, police chiefs who were complicit in it. They said that these underage girls, right, literally children, were consenting to sex. What? They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to raise it because of who perpetrated it. All in aid of community cohesion. So this is why I struggle with these kind of things. As someone from the UK, like we genuinely don't have this level of nonsense that is apparently, as evidenced here, rife in the States. I don't believe the statistics carried out anyway, and I know there'll be plenty of people that disagree, and I know I'm going to lose a bunch of subscribers, because I always do when I cover this stuff. But I would say I'm open to learning. Give me some evidence. Give me some evidence. Because we've all come across arseholes. Like, I don't want, you know, the whole my lived experience thing. Like, we've all come across arseholes. You're never going to stamp them out. But give me, like, actual examples, you know? I don't know. It's just trash. The whole thing's trash. I hate it. I hate it so much. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Again, I just think this is virtue signaling. You know, when you're claiming that, like, an entire ethnicity has privilege, it just is racism. Like, it's just nonsense. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Stay up to date on the world of pop culture movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Thanks so much. Take care.